Well, hello. We are on a road trip for work. So I just thought I'd start this live stream and just see how the audio sounds and just see if we can spend some time together on this beautiful Father's Day and talk about photography or anything else creative that you want to touch base on. If you're in the chat, say hi. I'd love to hear from you. And let's just overlay it there. Coolio. All right, I'll go up and running. Just let it go for a bit, see if a few other people want to join in. Say hi if you're in the chat. What's up? What's up? I'm on the road. Just waiting to get back out on the road now. So I've got a long highway trip ahead of me on this fine Sunday where I am. And yeah, just going to answer some questions, talk about a few things I got on my mind. Generally, yeah, talk about creativity, talk about the why in your photography maybe, and answer a few questions. I see someone's watching. Say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm relatively new to this live streaming thing, so hopefully you can hear me okay as well. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me okay, or just hello, the audio is coming through fine. That'd be wonderful. But yeah, got a super long drive, 4.5 hour drive today, and heading to Warrumbungles National Park, which is out near Coonabarabran. It's going to be it's a beautiful park. These massive rock spires out there. Number one fan. Well, welcome. Thanks for your comment. Appreciate it. Legend. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If you're in the chat, say hi. And say hello. Welcome. Yeah, cool. So where are you guys watching from? And happy Father's Day to any fathers out there as well. So that's cool. So we're just going to be hanging out in the car a bit like this, driving along, answering questions, talking. So yeah, if you've got any questions, fire away. More than happy to talk about it. Yeah, I just got the notification from Facebook then, so hopefully we get a couple other people join in. Sorry I couldn't be at like a magnificent sunrise or sunset or something to show you right now, but that's okay. We've still got time to hang out. And someone, yeah, awesome. So I've got packed. I think I've got 4 camera bodies. So I've got a heap of filming and photography to do on this trip. And I probably should have showed you guys like all the gear I have to take. It's just insane. We're camping out a couple of nights for this one. So yeah, I think I got 6 lenses, 4 camera bodies, 4 drones. So it's a little bit silly. Lots of redundancy when I go in the field for work, but it's good. It's good. Yeah, someone else just popped in. Say hi. You let me know where you're watching from. Awesome. So I just figure, over time, hopefully we can build up the audience on these live streams and do street photography, man. Oh, you like street photography? Okay. Yeah, street photography is good. It's actually, like a lot of people, there's a bit of a misconception around street photography actually, and that is that it's quite easy because you're just shooting, candid moments in the street, but it's actually quite a difficult genre of photography. One is because you don't have a whole lot of control over the light, and 2 is you don't have any control over the people you're photographing on the street. So if you're photographing buildings, totally different thing. But street photography, it's actually a really hard genre of photography. So the really good street photographers, they'll sit at a location waiting for the perfect light, waiting for the perfect subject to jump into the frame and get the shot. And they're amazing at it. It's actually not a skill. I've tried it. I remember in the early 2000s. Oh, this would have been 2005 or 2008 maybe. Around then, I lose track of time, but I was living in Sydney at that time and I shot a fair bit of street photography, and yeah, it's definitely not the easiest genre. There's no doubt about it, but it's amazing to see, good street photographers. They're amazing. Actually, I'm a big fan of black and white street photography as well. I think there's something about stripping away the color and just seeing the raw contrast and textures and street photos that really appeal to me. So maybe we'll do a YouTube video about street photography, or maybe what I should do is collab with some awesome street photographer and get a few tips for you guys, because it's certainly not, one of my strengths. Yeah, photography's funny like that. It's sort of generalize in an area that you're interested in, and it's not that you can't go out and shoot other genres, and I highly recommend it. If you're starting out on your photography journey and you're unsure about what you really like to shoot, just shoot everything. And it'll finally dawn on you and come to you what you actually really like taking photos of. And it doesn't mean you can't take photos of other things ever. It doesn't mean that. It just means, when you find the right genre or the right subjects, the things that you like to photograph, that's when, the joy of photography and real creativity starts to come out. Is when you find that thing that makes you happy. Yeah. And it took me a while. I remember I was actually, the other day, I was moving some photos around. What was I doing? I was moving some photos around in one of my old catalogs, and I saw some images from the first digital camera I owned, and I think it might have been 2000 or 2001, possibly. So, 24 years ago or something, which is crazy, insane to think about. And how bad these photos were. But I still love the photographs because I was taking photos of everything. So a lot of them are memories. So, and that's a bit of a difference, between, shooting photography for an art and then shooting for memories, and back then, 2000, geez, mate, that was pre-iPhone, that was pre-smartphone. So, yeah, it was crazy. It was interesting times. I mean, there was still lots of people even shooting film, back then, like 100%, pro photographers shooting film, which is crazy, which I never actually was part of the film thing. I started with digital, so which is interesting. But when I say that, I got some photographs of myself and different things in national parks, because I think I started in national parks in 2001 as well. But I remember the digital camera cost so much that I would never carry it in the field with me. I would have one of those old Kodak cardboard disposable things. And yeah, thanks. Yeah, street photography is really cool if you like it. Keep it up. But I used to have one of these Kodak disposable camera things, and I remember, I think you'd get like 12 shots or something like that, and you'd have to take the whole camera in. It was made of cardboard, and you'd wind it on, and it'd have film in it. And I remember taking a few shots from those in the field. So, I mean, that's the only film experience I think I've ever had, other than, my dad, when he was alive, and mum, probably back in the day before digital, would shoot with film cameras and seeing the negatives, or, getting them developed down the local print lab and getting them back. And, you take 12 shots and, maybe 3 or 4 of them are half decent. All the rest are really average, being not knowing how to shoot with film, which takes a lot of skill. So getting your exposure right and stuff. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, but street photography, I really love it. It's really, you've got to be a bit of a master, I think. It takes time. And I think one of the biggest barriers to street photography is actually being confident in shooting on the street. Just walking up to random strangers and being able to take their photograph. And a lot of that, it can be candid, and shot from the waist sort of thing with a flip screen. And I see people do it all the time. But I think which is where you get some of the nicer, I'm going to get over here, where you get some of the nicer candid shots, I think that's old school. So what's this say? Sony cameras or Fuji cameras, man? Dreamcam. Oh my, okay, that's a question. Sony cameras or Fuji? So I am a purely Sony shooter. I started back in the day, like in the early 2000s, on Canon, which was more my point and shoot days, and then from there moved to Nikon around the year of the D800, the D810, full Nikon kit, and that's what I used for work for many, many years. And then video became more of a big deal, and I joined the mirrorless revolution. When I think the first Sony A7R, so the first one I think was what I brought. So I was very early to the Sony cameras in the mirrorless. So I had their first ones, and I haven't looked back. Been Sony ever since. So that's probably been I can't even remember that camera coming out. Maybe 8 years ago or something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly when I got it, but something like that. And ever since then, shot Sony, and I think there was a long period of time where I think Canon catch up with the mirrorless camera game, and Fuji was sort of kicking along with Sony, and Olympus was doing cool things with their micro four thirds. But then I think now it's much of a muchness. Like everything's caught up, and it's purely. I don't think there's a right or wrong choice these days. It's just what you're into. If you've shot Canon all your life, all the Canon cameras are amazing. Nikon are making amazing mirrorless cameras now, so I think it's much of a muchness, really. I think it's whatever camera you choose, you're not going to go wrong with it, whatever system. And Fuji, if you're loving more manual type of controls, a lot of the Fuji cameras are more manual type controls, and then Olympus, with their micro four thirds stuff, and they're doing some pretty cool stuff. And even Lumix now, Lumix have got like their full frame cameras. They're doing some amazing large format stuff in that as well. So I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong. Like, yeah, I think if you're into macro and you're into shooting macro, and you're into wildlife photography, but you don't want to carry big lenses around, I think the Olympus systems are pretty amazing, and they're great for macro. They help with the depth of field. With macro, you struggle with depth of field, so I think the micro four thirds sensors really help with that. But I think for landscape photography, anything full frame from Sony, Canon, or Nikon is the way to go these days. Just to have that dynamic range, and yeah, there's so many megapixels, it's crazy. But yeah, awesome. Coolio. So yeah, that's killed. What's that? 15 minutes of my drive. Only 4 hours and 15 minutes to go. It's such a long way. But anyway, that's okay. Cool. Yeah, so I suppose one thing I've been thinking about a lot more is like, it's great. Like I've been like, especially on YouTube, like I got another video coming out on Monday, around composition and like the essential composition ingredients, but it's not really talking about things like rule of thirds and general compositional rules. It's more about sort of deeper thought patterns, or deeper. I'm going to express myself. Deeper things to think about with composition rather than just the common rules that you hear. So I think that's going to be a pretty interesting video, and that's going to go live Monday Sydney time, Monday morning. So that'll be an interesting video. And I think I'm thinking more about topics like creativity and inspiration, and things like why in photography, why do you shoot photography. So I've been thinking about those things a lot more, because there's really lots of teaching online, and all that stuff's important, and it's great to know, and it's powerful, and you need to know it, right? But I think the way technology is going with photography it's moving so fast, and there's just so much happening. It's just incredible. Like what you can do with your phone these days just blows me out of the water. Like it's incredible. It really is. And I'm not saying big cameras are going to go away anytime soon, anything like that. Not saying that. But what I am saying is, I think the deeper things about photography, about what inspires you, how to find creativity, and how, why we get out and do what we do, like those deeper things about photography, what photography means to us. And I think there'll be interesting topics to explore in future YouTube videos as well. So, yeah, I should have got some water. Bloody thirsty. Anyway, I must have stopped and fill my water bottle up somewhere. We just had Father's Day dinner, which was lunch, I should say. So I had some Thai with the family, which was really, really nice. It was lovely. So shout out to all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day if you're watching. And if you've got any questions, please pop them below, or you've got any feedback or anything you want to ask me about, now's the time while I'm driving. I'm not sure how the audio is. Hopefully it's not too bad. I went with the AirPods today rather than the microphone. I've got a microphone set up that plugs in, but it means I couldn't charge my phone. Right? I think I might be on streaming for a little while. So, yeah, pretty good. Have I tried film photography? That's a good question. Look, other than what I mentioned in the beginning, no, I haven't. But it's funny It's funny, like I think early last year, my mum got put into a home with pretty severe dementia, and 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 which is sad, totally sad, and it's got really bad at the moment, which is no good. But I think what happened is I had to pack up a house and pack down all the things and whatever. And going through that, this is what I'm getting to, is that I found dad who passed away when I was 10 years old. I'm now, about to turn 47, so it's 37 years ago. My dad's old film camera. It's an old Pentax. So it's funny you ask about that. I'm sort of umming and ahhing whether I'm going to try and get some film for it and have a play around with it, just for sentimental reasons and to learn more about film, and because I think it's still important, and there's a lot of genres. A lot of people that love shooting film, and I know hardly anything about it. To be honest, it'd be like learning all over again almost. Of course, the fundamentals of photography or whatever transfer across to your film camera, but just knowing the different speeds of film and and having to manual focus everything. Like I rely on autofocus so much now. It's just crazy, autofocus. Yeah, if you're in the chat, say hi. Autofocus is just, it's such a thing. I use it so much now. I just rely on it so much, and how things have changed with things like animal eye autofocus and like human eye autofocus. It's just crazy. It's insane. It's changed everything. Like the last lot of cameras, I would say, the recent ones from a lot of the camera manufacturers with those, it's just incredible. It'll hook on. Like some of them, you can even say for humans, choose a left eye or a right eye or whichever one you want in focus, which just blows me away. It's just crazy. So, yeah. Anyway, cool. Good question. Thanks for the questions. Loving them. Just make sure I haven't missed any. Appreciate the chat. Cool. Yeah. All right, I'm just going to get around this big roundabout and then I'll be back on board. Yeah, so anyway, I just popped in. We're on a road trip for work, so about a 4.5 hour drive, and I just thought I'd jump on and have a chat. See who was out there, see if anyone wanted to say hello, ask any questions, answering any questions that you have. Feel free to fire away. If you're struggling with something, or you've, or even successes, I love to hear people's success story. Maybe you've tried something recently where you've had a bit of a win and success. Let me know where you're watching. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Let me know. Coolio. Definitely going to have to get in some water soon. I didn't plan that very well. Got everything packed. Even got some food stuff packed for a couple of days of camping for work, and I forgot to pack some water. So that's not real smart, is it? I haven't filled my water bottle up. Jeez. Too many things. Crazy. Work's been really busy. I've been dreaming to have my own camera. So, oh, really? Yeah, well, you know what I'd do? If you're still looking to buy a camera and you haven't got your first camera yet, don't discount getting secondhand. Like, there's some amazing DSLRs you can get now that used to be things that, that would cost a fortune back in the day. And you can get them so cheap off eBay or any other secondhand places. I'm not sure what country you're from, but, in Australia, eBay is a good place, or Facebook Marketplace, or don't write off some of those old DSLRs. I mean, they're still amazing. Like, they're getting so cheap now. Get an old Canon or an old Nikon DSLR, and even if it just comes with a kit lens to get you started, I mean, that just gets you going, right? Like, that's, something you can shoot in RAW is really important, so you can learn to post-process your photographs. I think that's the key. Something that's, and it doesn't even matter if it's 10 years old or more, like, it'll still function. Like, especially some of those old Canon 5Ds, like, those things are bomb-proof, mate. Like, I had a mate, and they're full frame, and they're cheap as these days, like the Mark IIs and stuff like that, and even the original would still be probably okay to get started. But they're funny. those old DSLRs, you know, everyone's like, oh, it has to be mirrorless and this and that, but it doesn't have to be. Those old DSLRs are still amazing. Great cameras. If you can get one that's got a reasonable shutter count too, that hasn't got, you know, too many shutters, then, you know, I'm not sure what they're made for anymore. I can't remember the DSLRs, but yeah, that's something to look for. Is just get an old DSLR and play with it, because then at least you get your shooting, you know. The thing with landscape photography too, like you don't need massive fast lenses for landscape photography, because you're not, most of the time you're on a tripod, you're locked down. So yeah, I mean, and if I was starting out and I didn't have I didn't have a camera, you know, with interchangeable lenses, and I would look for an old DSLR. That's where I would start for sure. That'd be the key. Yeah, good question. So I wouldn't worry too much. You know, even if you can afford a Sony or a new mirrorless camera, great. That's all good. Look for, you know, an APS-C, so a crop sensor one, and look for something in your price range. And just about anything these days new will be amazing for getting started if it's got interchangeable lenses or whatever. So yeah, awesome. That's a good question. But don't stress if you can't afford that. Look secondhand. I mean, there's even, like, I know I just sold one of my old A7R two. You know, and I got like $1,000 for it, and it's still a 42 megapixel Sony sensor. It's like 6-7 years old or something, probably. It's still an amazing camera. Like, nothing wrong with it, you know. So I mean, the mirrorless cameras, yeah. I mean, they're wonderful. I think the thing that when I finally switched over to mirrorless from like a mirrored camera, like a DSLR, is just being able to have that viewfinder and look through the viewfinder and being able to review your photos back as well, like in good light. And even now with my eyesight, like having to wear glasses up close, I can still get away with having electronic viewfinder on a mirrorless camera, and being able to like zoom in on my frame and check sharpness and things like that. So it's, yeah, I love having electronic viewfinder. That was been a game changer, I reckon, for photography for me anyway. I think it's amazing, you know. I mean, you'll see on my YouTube videos a lot of the time, you know, I'm just using the back LCD and you can still zoom in and get a decent picture. But yeah, when the light's bright, it's hard to really see those LCDs on the back. So yeah, I mean, that is a plus, I would say. That was a plus. I mean, a lot of the early mirrorless cameras too, they had a few issues. Like, they'd have this blacking out issue. So if you're taking like multiple frames, if you're going to buy an old mirrorless camera, just do your research on which one you're going to get and just have a look at some reviews, because they had things like where you'd be taking multiple frames, like a sequence of images, like, and the viewfinder would black out for a little bit of time while it was writing to the card and things like that. So I mean, they had their problems, but I mean that all those problems are gone away in modern mirrorless cameras now. It's just amazing. So yeah, cool. Keep the dream alive. I mean, even if I assume, you know, the person who asked about getting a Sony camera, but yeah, don't discount using your phone either for photography. It's amazing. I mean, a lot of the new, well, I assume that Android. I don't know Android as well, so you'll have to forgive me. But I do know the iPhones, and a lot of the new iPhones now, like, you can shoot in RAW, so you're getting, you know, a full readout off the sensor, and you're getting a RAW image that you can then play around in your post processing software and things like that. So yeah, don't write out what your phone can do. Okay. Just a text message for work, so sorry about that. Yeah. Anyway, if you're out there in the chat, let me know where you're watching from. The Facebook chats are coming in, and I don't see any. Hopefully, it's live on YouTube. Well, should be live on YouTube and Twitch. So if you're watching from YouTube, give me a shout out and let me know. It's hard when you're streaming from your phone to then go and check the other locations. So yeah, very good. But if you've got any questions, let me know. If anyone who just joined in, I'm traveling for work, so on the road, answering a few photography questions. Hopefully the background noise isn't too bad from the AirPods. You can hear me okay. Cool, yo. Definitely need water after all this talking. I'm going to stop for water soon. Funny. Too good. Absolutely beautiful. How good is this weather? It feels like summer's like here already. Yeah, awesome. If you got any questions, let me know. Give me a shout out. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to hear from you. So as I mentioned earlier, this live stream thing, just going to start to do more of it over time, and it's a good way for me to connect with people. Get a bit of two-way interaction. I mean, I'm really enjoying making my YouTube videos, and that's not going to stop. And I think that's one thing I have been really passionate about, and it's been one thing when you do photography for work. So for those who don't know, I'm a landscape and nature photography for the National Park Service here in Australia, who I've been working for about 24 years. And so I do this sort of photography, landscape and nature photography for work, and which I absolutely love, and I'm super blessed, and I love my job, and there's nothing to say about that. But there is a change. There is a change in your creativity levels when you're doing it to be paid. And what I mean by that, I suppose, is you have to be creative. You're at work, you're there to do a job, and so it changes the way you feel about photography a little bit, because you're forced to create no matter how you're feeling, and when you're shooting for yourself and you're doing it for fun, and there's no pressure, and you get to do it whenever you want to do it, and things like that. Photography, is all about creativity, and all about just being passionate and doing what you want to do. But as soon as you start doing stuff for work, it does change things a little bit. So, I mean, not in a bad way, and not that I said, I never said, I love my job and I think it's awesome, but there is definitely something to say. I'm trying to put the cruise control on here. Give me a second. I'll just get this cruise control. So every time I get a car for work, I get a new hire car, so the controls are always different. So getting used to the cruise control. But all right, cruise is on. Cool. Yeah, so it does change your photography. So if you're ever considering, branching out and doing something different with photography, like maybe you want to go and shoot a few events or shoot a wedding or two here or there or something like that, which, wedding's a big step, there's no doubt about it. But, you want to start getting paid for doing photography. It does change how you feel about photography a little bit. So it's something to keep in mind, So anyway, back to why YouTube's been so great is because it's encouraging me to get out, encouraging me to make a video, encouraging me to go and shoot for myself and keep that. It's been a good source of inspiration, actually. So that's one side benefit to doing this. A lot of work, it takes up a lot of time, and when you're working full time, go and create a new video every week takes a lot of work. But I think the benefits have been really rewarding. Yeah, cool. I can actually invite guests in here. You can jump in and chat. That would be cool. I wonder how I can do that. If I can type in the chat. I think I'd need to go to the chat and paste in the link. But anyway, maybe we'll try that another day. But that would be cool. Have a few people jump on and ask a few questions. Anyway, so far so good. Yeah, if you got any other questions, comments, let me know. Let me know. Road tripping. There's nothing much to see, otherwise I'd turn the camera around and let you have a look out the window, but it's just a highway, more cars. Hello, whoever just popped in, and say hi, let me know where you're watching from. Just answering a few photography questions. So if you've got a question, or you've got a challenge, or you've got something you're struggling with right now, drop it in the comments, and I'm more than happy to help talk through it with you, for sure. Awesome. Coolio. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Yeah, what are we now? All right, we've almost done an hour. So, hang on, we've done half an hour. We've been stream for half an hour. So, that's right, because I started the stream half an hour in. So we've only got 3.5 hours left of the drive. So there you go. Can't afford to have one. Yeah, I know. I understand. Cameras are expensive. They are. But like I said, don't discount um, being creative with your phone. There's no doubt about it. I mean, phone's an amazing tool these days. And with all the smarts they put in, they're just incredible what you can do with them. It blows me away. I mean, I'm live streaming while driving along on 3 different platforms, answering questions on my phone. It's just crazy, right? It's so crazy. So crazy. But yeah, it's incredible. Moving fast too. Actually, software is changing pretty fast at the moment too. Like, you know, the over the last couple of years, what's happened with things like Lightroom, um, and the Topaz plugins, and what's the other third-party ones now? There's so much. Software it's just got so powerful. Like, I remember back in the day, you'd shoot your camera, and if you were getting up around 1,000 ISO, you'd be like, not only was your camera just the images would, or even 2,000 ISO or 1,200 or something, like your images would become almost unusable. Like, you just almost chuck them away. And now, I can shoot wildlife images at like 6,400 ISO, crop in on them, and then run them through Lightroom's new AI denoise or Topaz or something, and get amazingly usable images. Like, it's just things have just changed so fast. And that's only in the last few years, really, that's got that good. They call it AI, but whatever they're using I don't know if it's AI or not, but whatever they're using, what algorithms they're using to do things like that denoise now, it's just incredible. It's just blows me away. It's just things have just got so much more powerful when it comes to photography. And I think, even like, I was watching this one guy on YouTube now, and I like him. I forget his name. It's Matt someone, but anyway, I like him. He's an Australian guy or a New Zealand guy. Shoots in New Zealand a lot, and he and you'll see in more of my videos, I'll be locked down on a tripod when I'm shooting landscapes, and I still recommend that, and I think that's the best way to shoot landscapes. It slows you down. It makes you shoot with more intent and takes your time with composition. Because I think once you get your camera off the tripod, and particularly when you're learning, but there's nothing wrong with doing this, but you end up taking loads and loads of different photographs of different things and different compositions, and then you may not come home with one that's quite so solid, because you haven't been as intentful and you haven't slowed down as much. So I do think there's something really powerful about putting your camera on a tripod, spending time looking at your composition, watching the clouds, watching the light as it's changing, whether it's sunrise or sunset, and just being super intentful with what you're doing, shooting with intent, I call it. But anyway, back to this guy. So what he does, he basically, which I recommend everyone does, if you've got a scene, you're shooting and there's bright sun out there and there's dark shadows, and that's called a scene with a massive dynamic range, because you've got a massive range of light between your dark shadows and your brightest highlights, right? So, you've probably heard the term before. People shoot HDR, and it's had a bit of a bad rap over the years, but it's still dealing with high dynamic range, and there's a couple of ways to go about it. But anyway, what I was getting to, this guy would just expose for the highlights, because on his camera, it just basically has, I'm sure what he shoots, but it must be a high megapixel full frame camera. But he's basically teaching, exposing for the highlights, and then just opening up the shadows. So, you get these really, really crushed shadows. And it's just, yeah, look, his images come out so clean. And I like him. He's a funny guy, and I can't remember his last name. Wish I could tell you. But anyway, that's what he teaches, shooting for the highlights. And there is some truth in that. But the problem is, if you're on an older DSLR camera or an older camera that doesn't have the dynamic range his mirrorless camera has, you open up the shadows and they're just a noisy mess. Luminosity noise, color noise, super grainy. And the only way to deal with that really is to shoot for the shadows, shoot an exposure for the shadows where your left-hand side of the histogram's not being crushed, and then shoot another exposure for the highlights, and blend them together, or use HDR to merge them together. Anyway, so there's a few people in there watching now. Say hello if you just popped in. I see some more people have popped in. So thanks for your time. It's lovely to have you and see you here on this fine Father's Day. So I am on a road trip for work, heading to Warrumbungles National Park for a week of photography up there and camping for work. So I just thought I'd go live and on this beautiful day and answer a few photography questions and talk about photography. Whatever you want to talk about, creativity, photography, whatever you want to speak about. So if you've got a question, please pop it in the chat. I'm more than happy to help. So, and thanks for everyone who's been sticking around, listening to me ramble on, have a bit of fun. It's good. It's almost like it's funny, you know, because when you're talking on the YouTube video, you sort of speak and obviously it's not live, so you're not getting the feedback or whatever. But it's funny. It's nice getting the comments back. It almost feels like you're having a conversation. So please let me know if you've got any comments and pop them in and say hi. We'd love to hear from you. So, coolio. All right, I think we've caught up on all the comments. So what was I talking about? Yeah, high dynamic range. Anyway, yeah, so he teaches to, and I think I mentioned this, he teaches, you know, exposed to the right without clipping the highlights, basically. And then he'll just open up the shadows and that's fine. I reckon that technique, especially for newer cameras, if you're shooting full frame, I think that can work okay. I think the thing that you need to do is really just know how far you can stop down your camera and still get clean shadows. That's what's really important. And I think I mentioned this in my last YouTube video. I was talking about something then. A good test to do when you do get a camera is to, you know, go to a scene that has maybe, it doesn't really matter, but even a high dynamic range scene, and just do a normal exposure, take the frame, then underexpose by half a stop, then a stop, or a third of a stop, then 2/3 of a stop, then a stop, and then, you know, 1 and 1/3 of a stop, 1 and 2/3 of a stop, and just keep underexposing all those frames for, you know, maybe up to like 3 stops or something like that. And then just put them in your post-processing software and just crank the shadows up on all of them and just really study the shadows and have a good look into those shadows and see exactly how clean they are, you know, and then try and do some noise reduction, whatever software you use, if you're using Lightroom or whatever you use, the Topaz plugins or whatever you use for your noise reduction, and then just see which one you can get clean shadows out of. And that will tell you what that test does and tells you about your camera. It gives you an idea of how far you can underexpose your camera and still get clean shadows. Because when you're exposing for the highlights, well, I should say that when you're exposing to the right, two things. One is you're trying to expose as far to the right as possible without having, you know, clipping the. Oh, someone else jumped in. Hey, mate. How you going? Welcome. Well, welcome. Someone else jumped in. So awesome to have you there. Say hi if you've just jumped in. So yeah, one thing. What was I talking about? Yeah, high dynamic range. Yeah. So when you're exposing to the right of the histogram, which is the highlight area, is you want to expose as far to the right as possible without a clipping. And then if your meter is saying that you're under a stop, or your meter is saying you're under 2 stops, you know how far you can push your camera and still get those very clean shadows, okay? Or shadows, it doesn't matter if they aren't clean, shadows that you can clean up with some noise reduction in post. That's the key. And then that will give you an idea of the dynamic range of your camera, okay, what it can handle. And they'll have specs on it. And someone say, good afternoon to you too. Welcome. Lovely to have you. Talking photography, hanging out. So welcome. Thanks for your time on this fine Father's Day. And happy Father's Day if you're a father out there. So I'm not sure if it's Father's Day everywhere across the world, but it certainly is here in Australia. So shout out to all the dads. And anyway, that's how you can tell how far you can underexpose. So that's a good test to know. It's a good thing to know. So I've got to turn up here, so I've got to keep an eye on the road. So that's a good test to know with your camera, is to know what sort of dynamic range it does have, so that when you're in that situation where you've got a high dynamic range scene and you're set up for it, and it says to contain. So sorry, let me say that again. When you're set up for a high dynamic range scene, and you're looking at the histogram, and you can see to the right-hand side, you underexpose the shot, and it says you're 2 stops under, and you know on your camera, 2 stops under allows you to get clean shadows without blowing out those highlights. And that's really important. to know about your camera. Okay. Now, the other thing about exposure, and we're starting to talk technical things. I don't know how we got onto this, but anyway, we weren't going to talk about that. We're going to talk about more creative type of things. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But I can just talk about photography all day. If you haven't realised it, just you ramble on talking about it all day. So I hope this is useful. If it's useful, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Sorry, but so the thing is with exposing to the right of the histogram, what that allows you to do in your raw file, if you look at your histogram and you split your histogram in half, okay, and you got the left hand side, which is the darker midtones, and then right left is all the shadows, and then on the right hand side of the histogram towards the mid, you got the lighter midtones, and then right to the right hand side is obviously the lighter midtones in the middle, and then right to the right hand side is I'm just going through a roundabout here. I can't multitask. It's okay on a straight bit of road. I can talk. Isn't that funny? It's weird. And then on the right hand side, you've got the lights there. So your highlights in your brighter areas. Okay. And in that right hand side of the histogram, there's actually more information, more detail in that area. So so when you get your file back in post, your raw file, and you're starting to push that file around, and you're trying to bring out contrast and bring out the colors and things like that, and then you have more information in that raw file. So that's why you'll hear photographers say, or people say, just expose to the right. And what that means is you expose far enough to the right without the highlights being blown out. Okay, so it's a good tip there. It's a really, really great way to get, nice looking photographs and as much information in your raw file as possible to push those around. So yeah, cool. Any questions? Fire away. Anything at all. It can be personal. It can be anything. So people are dropping in and out. If you drop it in, just say hello. Say hello. If you've got any questions, let me know. More than happy to answer anything. Or try and answer your question anyway. Yeah, it's such a beautiful day. Anyway, I think what I was thinking about, and I had this thought the other day, and I've heard people talk about it before, is the why in your photography. And, we can talk technical things, and I mentioned this in the beginning, but we can talk about technical things and all those things are really important, the technical side of things and understanding the rules, composition, and all those things, exposure triangle and those things, they're all really important things to understand. But I think real photography starts once you find a way to find the genre of photography or the things you like to shoot. That's when real creativity gets unlocked. Okay. And I know, and this is a brand new thought for me, something I've only been thinking about quite recently. So it's nice to sort of air this thought out publicly and get feedback too. So it's like, creativity is something that sort of can't be taught, or it's something I believe creativity can be learnt. There's no doubt about it. Creativity can definitely be learnt, and learnt through things like, trial and error, learn through like watching other people's photography, learn through talking to other photographers that you like, maybe jumping on this live stream, getting inspired, getting a few tips from people you like to follow online. I'm definitely following people, on Instagram or whatever, whose photography you really, really like, or Facebook. But, that's a huge part of getting creative and being inspired. But I think, once you get to see your camera as just a tool that you take into the field. Hello, Ma, hello, welcome. Let me know where you're watching from. Hello, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Happy Father's Day, if it's Father's Day for you. What did I do here? I must have clicked in something. Yeah, so I think that's where real creativity starts to come in, is when you can put aside, what you're doing with aperture and shutter speed, and not put aside as in, disregard it. Put it aside as in it's just something that becomes first nature, or something that becomes second nature. You pick your camera up, you know, you want to do this, you want to do that. That controls become, you become so familiar with controls, you can almost do it with your eyes closed. And then I think at that point, that's where pure creativity starts to come in, and that's what you can concentrate all your energy on, you know, is creativity. And creativity when it comes to, you know, composition particularly is where I think that's where great photographs are created, you know. Going to locations, if you're a landscape and nature photographer, you know, shooting wildlife or going to locations that inspires you, I think that um, that obviously really, really helps, but to unlock creativity because you get inspired to shoot. But I think once you get to that level where you sort of can pick up a camera and make an exposure of anything and not knowing, I think that's it. So also to answer your question, I live in Florida. Oh, welcome. Lovely Florida. Nice and warm there at the moment. You're coming out of winter there, hey? So I just said hello from Florida. So hello from sunny Florida. Awesome. Welcome. If you got any questions, let me know. Shout out to our American friends. So yeah, awesome. Beautiful Florida. Looks lovely there. I definitely want to go and visit Florida one day. Looks amazing. The water and just an epic place. So yeah, so I think, and I might have lost a few people with the creativity talk because you tend to. It's not something that people talk about much, but it's a really, really important thing. You know, creativity is like, it's like and I call it creative energy, you know, like, and I'm not going to get up, you know, the airy fairy or spiritual on you here, but it is like an energy, right? Because if you're not motivated to go, oh, hi from the Philippines, welcome. Philippines, beautiful. There you go. People all around the world loving this. Good job. Welcome. Philippines is on my list of places to visit too. There's some beautiful islands there. The tropical Philippines looks amazing. Be awesome to go there and photograph. But anyway, back to creativity. Yeah, so it's not something a lot of people talk about, and I think because it's hard to talk about and it's hard to put into a box what is real creativity. Because for me, creativity can be a slightly different thing to what it means to you, you know, and that's okay. I think there's no like hard and fast rule what you think creativity is and what I think it is. In the end, it's all about, you know, having. I've got to turn up here, turn the corner. Every time I was been in a car that had left-hand indicators, and sorry for American friends, but in Australia, normally your indicators to turn the corner or your blinkers are on the right. And I've been in a car where they've been on the left, like a European car. And every time I go to turn the corner now, because this car's the opposite, I turn on the windscreen wipers. So every time, that's where if you see a shadow go past me or whatever, that's the windscreen wipers because I accidentally turn them on. Anyway, fun fact. But yeah, back to creativity. So I think creativity is one of those things that, you know, you have to discover for yourself and work out what creativity is for you. But for me personally, when I feel the most creative is when I am in nature. Like nature is a big part of me finding my creativity being out of nature. So yeah, anyway, we're losing people because creativity is one of those things not everyone wants to talk about. So anyway, it is what it is. It's a hard topic to talk about, I understand. If you've got any questions, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Answering any photography questions on a road trip now. So we've currently got 3 hours to go. So yeah, if you want to answer any questions, let me know. Yes. We can talk about composition. Composition's a big topic. Man, it's yeah, composition and creativity go hand in hand, I reckon. No doubt about it. And as I mentioned, it's titled The Essential Ingredients for Creativity. So I think that's going to be really, really handy for people. Coolio. So hopefully I've still got service there and I'm coming through okay. We're just hanging out, talking photography, doing our thing. Can't believe it's nearly been an hour. It goes so fast when you're driving in the car. I think this live stream from the car thing is cool. allows me to get a few thoughts out, get a bit of feedback from you guys, answer some questions. I appreciate it. All right, turn the corner here. And I knew as soon as I started talking creativity, we lost a few viewers because it's one of those topics. It's hard to talk about. People, it means so many different things to so many different people. Then it's tough. So yes, very good. Anyway, that's it. So what's cool about the Warren Bungles, where I'm headed as well, is there's lots of wildlife there. So I'm hoping to see some wildlife. And it's beautiful. If you look up Warren Bungles National Park, beautiful rock spires there, just absolutely inspiring. They're amazing, absolutely amazing. So hoping to get to fly my drone around those and take a bit of a look. So that'll be good. But this trip is a bit of a photography and video trip. A lot of my trips now, it's about capturing video as well. Video is a major part of everything we do online these days. So it's funny, but a lot of the video I shoot, I do put together like final pieces, but a lot of video for work is actually for media. So it gets put together in a media package and gets sent off to the news and traditional media, and my stills get used on the web for different newspapers and stuff. So yeah, it's putting together media packages covering, certain things that are happening in different national parks. So yeah, that's cool. Anyway, we talked about a lot. Any more questions? Fire away. Let me know if you have a question. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook and that, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up on YouTube. I appreciate that. It'll just help get the stream out to more people, and I can answer their questions. If they've got any questions, let me know. Let me know. One thing is, I've been talking about this for the last hour. We've been talking. Is I need to stop and get a drink. I definitely need a drink. Funny. Definitely need some water. Cool. Maybe everyone wants to hear about the technical stuff more. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Anyway, it's hard to know. I often think about, if I was starting out photography today, like today, I had no camera gear and I was just getting started, and what would I do? Where would I go? And I think two things stand out to me. One is, don't discount what you can do with your phone. You haven't got the money to buy camera gear. That's totally fine. I think getting started with your phone, you can do some amazing stuff. And there's full courses online and things about editing photos and doing stuff on your phone, which I think is super powerful. But I think something's on the road there. Oh, it's a little turtle. Anyway, we missed him and got missed. So that's good. But I think and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't have a lot of money to spend it. But I would definitely start with YouTube. And if you're a visual person anyway, so you probably resonate with watching videos, you can give me an ebook that goes, for 20 pages, and I'll read it and I'll understand it. Watching at 10 or 15, being a very visual videographer, I resonate more with watching videos than reading an ebook. So that's just me, but I think that if I was starting out, first thing I'd do is go to YouTube and say I wanted to take good people pictures with my phone, or take good landscape, and I had an iPhone 14 or an iPhone 12, or I'd probably just Google iPhone and in YouTube, iPhone, landscape photography, and then just find someone out there who's teaching about what you can do with your phone or your camera. Excuse me. There's so many people on YouTube now. I think, there's even like photographers that'll teach about the new Canon R5 Mark II for bird photography. Like, it's just crazy. There's so much content out there. So just find someone you like watching, and use that as your inspiration, and take as many photos as possible. That's really the key. Getting out there and shooting with whatever you have, the camera you have right now. And there's nothing wrong with having goals about which camera you want to buy. But in the end, what's going to make you a better photographer is just get out there shooting with the tools you have and understanding those tools and getting to know those tools as best as possible. That's really, I think, when it comes down to it, that's the key. So hopefully my service is getting a bit bad now. So hopefully you haven't lost me there. I may drop out soon. I just realised it dropped right down to like 1 bar of 4G, so the video might be getting a bit crappy. So I do apologise for anyone who's still watching and getting that. But yeah, Coolio. Interesting, isn't it? This whole live stream thing. I could be in the car, traveling somewhere, talking to you guys, and it's just awesome. Yeah. Anyway, we're back up to full service again, so it should be okay at the moment. Yeah, I always try to put myself into the situation where I was learning something or learning a particular technique or something for the first time, and try and think about what that means and how to best, communicate whatever I'm trying to out of it. Even if you're starting out, I think try to start YouTube, whatever you're using, Google the genre of photography you like, and then just learn as much about it as you can. Just put in the time. Because I remember even when I started with Parks, started shooting all those years ago, I think I had one camera and one lens. It was pretty embarrassing when you think about it now. But some of those initial photographs I took, they're just terrible, man. Just terrible. But it's fun. It's a funny story, actually, how I got started shooting for national parks, because it's I was working on the back end of the website, actually. So I started in the field as a field officer. That's where I started all the years ago, and then moved in a few different roles, and then I was working on the back end of the website, and then I started hiring, just random people to go and take photos. And obviously, I had a bit of an interest in photography, and I had all my field experience because I've been in the field for so many years prior to that, and then they're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll start sending you out, and that was it. They just give me a list of locations to go and a list of places to shoot, and I just take my camera and go and create photographs, and just spent hours and hours and hours and days and days and days on the road taking photographs. And I tell you, it's been the best way to learn. Is just get out there and do it as much as possible. So highly recommend it. Yeah, just picking up the tools and getting out there and shooting. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter even about the location. If you're in a big city or you're somewhere you like being out in nature, but yeah, go down to the local park and just enjoy being out with your camera. Actually, I got a community that I do a community call with each week, and we talk about photography and that, and on Discord. And one of the guys there, I'm a big believer in scouting, my landscapes and having a look in Google Maps and doing a little bit of planning and making sure I'm there in decent light and giving myself the best chance to get cool photographs, which I recommend. I recommend it anyway. But he's the opposite. He'll just take his camera and go for a walk, and whatever he comes across, and whenever his creativity is sparked by being on this walk, he can photograph things. And some of the photographs he get are just amazing because it's so candid and in the moment, and I think it's it's also a nice way to learn photography, I reckon, is just being in the moment with your camera, and you see something you like, just point your camera at it and shoot what makes you happy. Yeah, as one of my friends said, shoot what makes your heart sing. Yeah, that's it. Funny. It's funny how, and that again, that sort of loops back into, creativity is different for everyone. I like to give myself the best chance to get the shot I want to get, and he likes to just basically wing it, take his camera, and both ways are fine. There's no like right or wrong. If that's what makes him creative and that's what allows him to do his photography and keeps him inspired, then that's wonderful. Wonderful. No right or wrong. Coolio. Well, we're down to 2 bars again. I'm a little bit worried the stream's going to drop off. Anyway, it's okay. All good in hood. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's all I had on my mind at the moment. Unless you got any other questions, or see, there's still a couple of people watching. So, if you got any questions, comments, feedback? Did you find this useful? It was nice catching up, having a chat to you guys. But yeah, it's just nice and easy for me just to sit back and drive and chat to you guys about photography. I've actually really enjoyed it myself. It's probably something I'll do more of. It allows me to get in touch with you guys and have a bit more interaction rather than just the weekly YouTube video, which I really appreciate the comments and the likes, and that's all great. It keeps me inspired. But I think these live streams, can be useful as well, useful tool. Because I didn't mention it, but you'll probably hear in some of my videos now, particularly at the ends, like I've sort of made it my mission to help as many photographers as possible, and I think live streams are going to be a part of that. So I'll definitely be doing more of these for sure. And I think it starts out slow, people jump on and say g'day, and they get to see you live, and you're a bit more vulnerable, and it's not edited like a YouTube video is, So I think there's something nice and raw and about this style of content for sure. So I'm definitely going to be doing more of these, no doubt about that. Coolio. Actually, this last lot of chatting, I had a massive Thai for lunch, actually, which was really lovely with my family for Father's Day. And I've been in a bit of a food coma, so being able to talk to you guys has really helped me push through that food coma. So, yay. Thank you. I appreciate it. So funny. So funny. All right, good people. We might wrap it up there. Thank you to everyone who tuned in and watched. I really appreciate it. And we talked about lots of things there, covered lots of things. So if you're watching this after the fact, big hello. Thanks for watching, and it's been fun. We'll definitely do more of these over the coming days and weeks for sure, wherever I can. We'll see. If I've got good service out where I'm camping over the next few days, maybe we'll do a couple of live streams at night or something after my day, and I can show you some images I took or something about that, and we can answer your questions again. So, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay inspired, keep creating. Peace.